Om. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimrandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tumeva Madacha Pida Tvameva Tumeva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tumeva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma. Om Amriteshwari Namah. We'll begin with a short meditation. Kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column, your spinal column is erect. It will help you to keep your thoughts away, and also the energy will be going upwards in a much smoother fashion. Now slowly close your eyes. Try to focus your awareness on your breathing normally, but with full awareness of each and every breath that occurs through your body. As you become more and more aware of your breathing process, you will relax as a result of the heightened awareness. Focus completely on the breath only. And now we'll chant Om 3 times. As we chant Om, imagine the sound of Om to arise from your navel area and not from your throat. And visualize the sound traveling upwards along your spine, cleansing your body, your mind, and the atmosphere around you. Now kindly take a deep breath. Now feel the reverberations of Om, both within and outside of you. Now once again, bring back your awareness on your breathing. Again, breathing normally without any effort. Now when you breathe in, chant the mantra, the syllable Ma silently along with your in-breath. And Om when you breathe out. So Ma when you inhale and Om when you exhale. In synchronization with your breath. Ma is a representation of divine love and Om of divine light. You need not imagine the love and light, but just feel their vibrations as you chant Ma and Om. And continue like this for some time. Ma Om Ma Om Ma Om. You may not want to do the same timing as I did. It's according to your convenience and your breath. And you can shorten the time or lengthen the time according to your convenience. And now, when you breathe in Ma, just hold your breath just for a few seconds, not too long, like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. And then chant Om. This will increase your awareness. Slowly and slowly the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtle. You can just feel the vibrations of Ma and Om, and feel the vibrations of love and light. Imagine your heart being filled with that love, the divine love and the divine light. As you feel the love and light, imagine your heart expanding like a beautiful flower bud which blossoms into a beautiful flower. And visualize your heart being filled with that divine love, the light, the peace, and the compassion. Now imagine a light going out from your heart, just like the rays of the sun to all the beings in this world. And as the light falls on each and every one of them, imagine they also become more loving, more peaceful, more blissful, and more compassionate. And while imagining so, let's chant the Loka Samasta prayer 9 times. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhavlavagunthanavatim Tejomayim Naishtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashri Mukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusikta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parambaram Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavandau Punapunaha Ishwarau Gururagmede Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. We have been examining the Skanda 7 of chapter 9 in Srimad Bhagavatam, where we saw the story of Prahlada, and we saw that Prahlada was in every way being tested by his father, and in spite of that he kept on his devotion to Lord Vishnu, who was his father's arch enemy. And in spite of that, his father tried to kill him. He tried to do so many things towards him, but in spite of that, Prahlada came victorious until finally, when Hiranyakashipu, Prahlada's father, one day, asked him. It was in the evening or in the dusk time, when he asked him where is God? And Prahlada said, God is everywhere. And so he asked, is he in this pillar? Did yes. And is he in the other pillar? So he said yes also. Then Hiranyakashipu gets angry and then he beats the pillar, and Narasimha, the avatar of Krishna, Lord Vishnu, comes out and takes Hiranyakashipu and puts him on his lap and kills him. So what we are seeing right now is the effect of after that, when everybody was so afraid to go near Narasimha because he was such a ferocious form, as what we have seen earlier, with his eyes and with all the nails and his red tongue sticking out with blood, and hands also having blood. So we saw that ferocious form, and even all the great gods like Brahma and Shiva were so afraid to go near him, and all the saints like Narada were so afraid. When finally Narada sends Prahlada. Prahlada is only 5 years old, 6 years old boy, small boy. So finally Narada sends Prahlada to Narasimha, where Narasimha calms down, looking at the baby boy, and has so much of affection for him. And Prahlada is not afraid of Narasimha. Why? Because he had only pure love. Wherever there is love, there is no fear. When there is only the lack of love, there is fear. So Prahlada had so much of love for the Lord that he did not care. Even if the Lord would kill him or do anything to him, he did not mind, or he did not bother him at all. So what he did was he went to Narasimha when Narasimha calmed down, and then Prahlada started singing hymns about Lord Vishnu or Narasimha. And we saw a little bit of this, and he was saying that you are the creation and the created, and you were there before the manifestation of this world, and you would be there after the manifestation. So in between, what are you? You are just the witness who is looking at this, the changing universe. And he said that because of your yoga maya, that is the power of yoga, you have created this universe, which is consists of the gunas, the qualities, and prakriti, nature. And so he's saying you are also this universe in the causal as well as the manifested condition. And it is because that we are ignorant and we don't see you in each and every creation or every being, that we feel that the difference of mine and the other. And he says, we are also the one, who withdraws the whole universe into yourself. At the end, that is at the end of Pralaya, what happens, as you might know, Lord Vishnu, what happens is he's lying, the Pralaya means within the flood. The flood comes and takes away everything, and the flood covers the whole creation. And it is said that at that time, Lord Vishnu will lie on a leaf of a banyan tree. And so just like a small child on the water. And so he's saying that withdrawing the whole universe into yourself and established in your inherent bliss, you will be, with your eyes shut inward. And so he's saying also, when the eyes are shut, you're not sleeping. Why? Because you're pure self-consciousness. So you lie in the cosmic waters in the state of Turiya. So it's in the fourth state where you are not wakeful, you are not dreaming, you are not in deep sleep, but you are in complete awareness of what is happening and absorbed in the oblivion and not involved in the dream or waking states. So he's saying like that. And then he continues and he says, this universe is verily thy gross form. Like a huge banyan tree emerging from its latent condition in a seed, it emerges from thee in the form of cosmic lotus, when through thy power of the time spirit thou spurrest prakriti, nature, into activity. On awaking thy spiritual absorption, that is samadhi, stretched on thy bed of infinity, ananta, in cosmic waters. So where is the Lord lying? First of all, the Lord is lying in the ocean. So you can just imagine. So the ocean, these are all representations. So if a normal being, suppose imagine a normal being. A normal being is just think about lying on a boat in the ocean. Will they be able to sleep? And then they will be thinking about when is the storm coming, or will there be a big wave, and all these things. And second, and the greatest problem is, he's lying on the Ananta Shayana, that is on a serpent called Ananta. So imagine if somebody gives you a nice air-conditioned room, a nice bed, and everything, and as you are going into sleep, they say, oh, just be careful. I saw a snake there yesterday. Will you be able to sleep? Your sleep will be gone in an instant. But Lord is sleeping on the serpent, the Ananta. But here, it also represents infinity in the cosmic waters. And he's saying that the absorption, that is samadhi, that is in the state of samadhi. Samadhi is the state where you go beyond your mind and intellect and the body. And he's saying Brahma, who originated in that lotus, could find nothing else existing except that lotus whose source he could not discover. Though that source, the Supreme Lord, was latent in himself, he searched for him for 100 divine years in the cosmic waters, but could not discover him. How could he? For lo, when the shoot has come out, how can its source, the seed, exist separate from it? So he's saying that Lord Brahma is sitting in the lotus that is coming from the stomach or the navel area, and who originated in the lotus. And so, but what happened was Brahma, who wanted to find the source, could not find the source of where this is coming from. And you know the famous story of Shivaratri. The same thing happened with Lord Shiva also, where Brahma and Vishnu were going to find that Jyotirlinga. When they saw the Jyotirlinga, they tried to find out where it is coming from or where the light goes to. So one of them said, I will go down. The other one said, I will go up. So it is said in that story that Lord Vishnu came back saying that he could not find it. But Lord Brahma lied, saying that I did find the origin. And because of that, he was cursed. And that's why we don't have too many Brahma temples, temples for Brahma. But here he's saying that Brahma, who originated in that lotus, could not find anything. And so he searched for 100 divine years. So divine years is almost like 350,000 one human years. One divine year is 350,000 human years. So you can just imagine. So multiplied by it is 3 million years he has been searching. He couldn't find it. But then he's saying, how can he find it? Because the seed, which is the source, is not separate from the source itself. Therefore, Brahma, the self-born, resumed his seat in the lotus, being very much astonished and puzzled at his not being able to discover its source. Then he practiced inward concentration for a very long time and gained purity of mind, which enabled him, O Lord, to experience thy subtle presence in his own being constituted of the great elements, senses, mind, intellect, etc., just as the presence of the quality of smell residing in the element earth is perceived by a yogi. So what happened? So when this is a beautiful simile, example, you can say that if you go on looking outside, you will never find it. So how do you go? You go inward. So Brahma went inward. And he sat and meditated. And when he meditated, then he could feel the subtle presence of the Lord. Because in reality, when we talk about God, in one sense you can say that God can manifest, but what is the real form of God? Can anybody describe it? It's like this, it's like that. And that's why we have a lot of problem in this world, right? And we say God is like this. One person says, my God is like Krishna. The other says, my God is like Shiva. And another one says, it's neither Krishna or Shiva, it's Devi. So you fight against each other, saying that, my God is the best. Or my God is like this, so this is God. So you cannot say like that. And you cannot attribute a form. Because God in the supreme essence is absolutely formless. But it can manifest as form also. But that form need not be the ultimate essence of God. So therefore, the Brahma, the self-born, what happened? He went inside and discovered that everything was God. The great elements, senses, mind, intellect, and just as the presence of the quality of the earth, the smell that is in the earth, which is perceived by a yogi, he perceived that. And Brahma was delighted to see that the Mahapurusha, the cosmic being, who had thousands of faces, feet, heads, hands, thighs, noses, mouths, eyes, ornaments, and weapons, who was the seat of all power and who was possessed of limbs that correspond with the various regions of the universe. So we see this beautiful mantra, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, Sahasraksha Sahasrapad. That is Sahasra Shirsha. That is, you have the Purusha. The Purusha means the cosmic being. Has Sahasra Shirsha, that is thousands of faces. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha, that is 1,000 eyes. And Sahasrapada, that is 1,000 legs. You know, what does that mean? It means each and every being is nothing but a reflection of the divine. So he says, incarnated as Hayagriva, the horse-headed, thou didst destroy Madhu and Kaidaba, which are the two demons, embodiments of the Rajas and Tamas, and very powerful traducers of the Vedas, and retrieving the Vedas from them, thou didst restore them to Brahma. So this is the first avatar of Vishnu, of the 10 avatars. So Malsya, Kurma, Varaha. So that is the first one. He's saying that, so what happens is Hayagriva, he came as Hayagriva. And then that was the Malsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana. So he came as Hayagriva and then lifted the Vedas and retrieved them and gave it to Brahma. So he's saying that here, what happens is we have to understand again the inner significance. What do these two demons represent? One of them is Rajas, the other one is Tamas. So if you have to understand Vedas, you cannot be in a very Rajasic state nor a Tamasic state. You have to be in a Sattvic state, which is the mind has to be pure. So in order to the mind to be pure, you have to lift yourself from the Tamas and the Rajas. So that's what here it says. And so he says, thy form as Hayagriva, constituted of pure Sattva, by which Rajas and Tamas, represented by the Asuras, were destroyed, is described by the wise as thy favorite form, it being conducive to the development of jnana. So that form was so conducive for the development of jnana. Why? Because Hayagriva had one tusk, which means it's of unity. It's showing the different aspects. And if your mind is not concentrated, and if the mind is running in different directions, will you be able to concentrate? So that's why the form itself is a representation of concentration and of unity. And thus, O all-powerful Lord, incarnating thyself as man, animal, fish, rishi, and celestials in different yugas, that is the 10 avatars, Malsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, then Parashurama. So that is a rishi. And celestial in different yugas, that is ages, thou dost destroy the wicked and protect the worlds. Though thou protectest the dharma appropriate to every age, thy presence is hidden in the age of Kali. Thou art therefore known as Triyuga, or one whose manifestations are confined to the 3 yugas. So he's saying that in Kali Yuga, what happens? He's saying that the presence is very much hidden. Hidden, why? Because people cannot perceive. In Kali Yuga, the mind is so gross and it cannot understand the divine. So that's why he's saying that you are confined to the other 3 yugas, which is Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and the Krita Yuga. So he's saying, O Lord of Vaikunta, evil tendencies corrupt my mind and make it outward going. It is harassed by intense lust, by alternating feelings of joy and sorrow, by fear and the morbid craving for progeny, wealth, and fame. As a consequence, my mind is not able to feel delight in accounts of thy deeds and excellences. Afflicted as I am with this shortcoming, how am I to persist in my quest of thee? So Prahlada is such a young boy. So he's not affected by lust and he's not affected by greed or any of these things. But he is just portraying how our mind is. And he's saying that our mind is being harassed by intense lust. And also we go through ups and downs, joy, sorrow, joy, keeping coming back and back, and craving for progeny, wealth, and fame. So all these things are craving. And as a result, how can you understand? How can you fix your mind on the Lord? So he's asking this. It doesn't mean, so we have to understand here that it doesn't mean that you should not have any of these things. It just means that we have to have a control about what our wealth is and how much children do we want, and definitely have a control over our mind, because otherwise the mind will be just running after joy, and then sorrow comes, and then joy comes, and so it will be just going back and forth. And he says, "Oh Achyuta, my sense of taste, ever insatiate, drags me in one direction, while lust draws me in another. So also hunger, hearing, and smell drive me in certain directions, while the fickle sense of sight and the vigorous organs of action drive me in still others. I am torn to pieces by their conflicting claims as husband by his several wives. Unfortunately, there is no one among these senses to drive me towards thee." So these are all beautiful portrayals of our state. Why we have 5 sense organs and 5 senses. So there he's saying it's just like having a person having several wives. So just imagine this. So if you have one wife or one husband, that itself is a big problem. So think about having several wives. There's a story which illustrates this. One man had 2 wives. One was an older wife, and the other one was a younger wife. So after some time, about 5 or 6 years later, of course, his hairs started going gray. And so when he went to the younger wife, what the younger wife would do, she would pluck out all the gray hairs or the white hairs. And so when he went to the older one, she was so jealous, so she started plucking the black ones. So ultimately what happened? He became bald, without any hair. So this is the condition. It's just a joke, but it's a condition. Having several wives, and he's saying the example like this. So just imagine having several husbands also. It's not only wives, but husbands also. And so what happens, all these sense organs are driving me crazy, because one is pulling me on one direction, the other one is pulling me in another direction. And also hunger and all the sense organs are pulling me. See us, the large number of jivas fallen in this Vaitharani, the unfordable river of samsara, by the force of our past actions and struggling in it amidst the fear of life and death and of mutual competition for worldly enjoyments. See them engulfed in animosity and enmity, arising from the feeling of difference between oneself, one's friends, and one's enemies. O thou, the resident on the bank of yonder river Vaitarani, taking pity, save a fool like me from this predicament. So, here he's saying that, this is an unfordable river of samsara. And you cannot ever cross it. And you keep trying, and then you can never cross it. So Vaitarani or Vaitarana is a river mentioned in the Garuda Purana, and it lies between earth and the infernal Naraka or hell, the realm which is the realm of the Lord of Death, that is Yama. And but this is supposed to purify one's sins. So what happens? These sinful souls are supposed to cross this river after the death. And according to this Garuda Purana, this river falls on the path leading towards the southern gate. So, but he's saying that what happens is, once you are taking bath in this river, you cannot cross because the amount of sins and the karmas, you can say karma better than sin, that we have accumulated is not being washed away. So he says, taking pity, save a fool like me from this predicament. O Father and Teacher of all, for thee who by thy mere will art effortlessly carry on the creation, sustentation, and the dissolution of this whole universe, what difficulty is there in lifting thy creatures from samsara? So he's saying, look, you are creating, you are sustaining, you are also destroying or dissolving all the objects in this creation. So why can't you just save me from samsara? And not only there is no difficulty, it is but proper too. So it's your dharma too. O friend of the afflicted, thou art reputed to be very gracious to the ignorant. It is no good to say that this grace is confined to those of us who serve thy dear devotees and tread the path of devotion shown by them. So he's saying that you cannot put a condition, saying that, only if I serve you or your devotees, then only you'll take me across. There is virtue in grace only if it is bestowed on the least deserving. So how can you say it's grace? So if there is no condition, if there is some condition, you cannot call it grace, right? Or you can't say compassion. Compassion has nothing tied to it. And how can you show compassion? If you show compassion to only a certain amount of people or certain type of people, then that is bias. It's not compassion. So he's saying you cannot be biased. You have to show compassion to everybody like me who cannot cross this river. So he says, I do not mind, O Lord, even if I am consigned to the Vaitarani, the river of hell, as my mind is ever immersed in the ambrosial ocean of the recital of thy divine attributes and sportive deeds. I am sorrowing for the ignorant person who eschew the path of devotion, and for the sake of the petty and the short-lived pleasures of the senses shoulder the great burdens of worldly life. So he's saying, I'm not concerned about myself. You can put me in Vaitarani and let me be in Vaitarani as long as my mind is dwelling upon you. It doesn't matter. But what about the others? Why can't you save the others? O Lord, sages generally concern themselves only with their own salvation. They strive for it in solitude without any thought for the salvation of others. But I do not desire salvation for myself alone, abandoning all the other creatures to their miserable condition. I find no shelter other than thee for these creatures caught in the travails of samsara. So if thou art pleased to save me from samsara, I am willing to accept it only on the condition that my fellow sufferers too are saved. So here you look at the compassion of Prahlada. Prahlada says, I don't mind being in this world. I don't mind being in hell or heaven. But as long as you don't save the others, I don't want to be saved. So first you save the others and then save me. And he says, the pleasures of sex life and the other fulfillments available in household life are very petty. As relief sought by scratching an itching hand only adds a new form of suffering to the old one, these satisfactions only go to enhance the intensity of desire. Still, these pitiable victims of sexual desire are never found to get satiation in spite of many sufferings arising from it. A wise man here or there may overcome sexuality, as a man sometimes escapes the temptation of the itch to scratch oneself. But that is achieved only through thy grace. So he's saying, look at all the, the people who are lying in the world. They are completely having the intense desire for all the worldly activities. And he's saying that, all this, when you take all these desires, and what do you get from these desires? He's saying it's just like itching your hand when there is, or rather scratching your hand when you have an itch. You get that much pleasure only. But what happens because of that? Then there is a pattern that is created, which is called vasana. And because of this vasana, you begin to dwell more and more upon it. O Lord, for those who have no mastery of the senses, all the reputed means of spiritual attainments like silence, vows, scholarship, austerity, Veda, study of the Veda, discharge of duty, teaching, living in solitude, repetition of mantras, and practice of concentration get reduced to a mere show for earning a livelihood. It is doubtful whether such hypocrites succeed even in this. So he's saying, these are the qualities that is needed for a sage or a seeker. So he's saying, what are the qualities? He's saying like silence, vows, then scholarship and austerity, study of Veda, and discharge of duty, that is dharma, teaching and living in solitude. So these are all a repetition of mantras and practice of concentration. These are all the qualities that is needed for a seeker. So he's saying, if you just act like this, and then what is the use? They won't even succeed in this. And he says, the Vedas reveal thee under two conceptions like the seed and the tree, the causal condition in which thou art the source of the manifold, and the effect condition in which thou art the indweller of the manifold. In no other way canst thou, the formless, be comprehended. So the Vedas show, what is it? The cause and the effect. That is the as Amma says, the creation and the creator. It is as you. Because why? Because you cannot be explained in other ways. And he says, as one fire stick is rubbed with another to bring out the fire latent in the stick, so those who seek thee practice communion with thee in these causal and effect conditions through devotion and concentration. So how, he says, there is no other way. So how do you understand the Lord? How do you gain? How do you achieve bhakti? So he's saying that through devotion and concentration only you can, and through constant practice can you commune with the Lord. And he says, thou art the fire, air, earth, sky, water, subtle elements, vital energy, senses, mind, chitta, ahankara, and all the deities. All that is gross and subtle art thou. Nothing that thought can think or words describe is outside thee. So he's saying, you are all these things. What? You are fire, air, earth, sky, water, everything. And O praiseworthy Lord, none included in Prakriti and its evolutes, like intellect, mind, and others, nor devas nor men are able to know thee, because they are limited by a beginning and an end. So if you think about knowing God, he's saying through intellect and mind, you cannot even comprehend. Why? Because all of them have a limitation. There is a beginning, there is an end. But you don't have neither a beginning nor an end. That's why Brahma could not understand. And knowing this, the wise ones give up all the self-centered efforts for knowing thee, like study of the Vedas and the philosophies, and practice pure resignation to attain thy grace. So again, here you have to be very careful. It's not that you should shun the studies of Veda and philosophy, but you have to understand the limitations. Even if you study, then you cannot know God. There is a point beyond which it won't help you. Just like as Amma says, you climb up the ladder to go up. And slowly, but once you reach there, you cannot say that, oh, the steps in the ladder was not useful. But they were useful. So similarly, the study of Vedas and philosophies is useful to a certain extent. But after reaching a height, you just have to throw them out because they cannot help you to understand. O worshipful one, without the practice of the six-limbed devotional discipline consisting of various forms of adoration of thee, like salutations, praise, dedication of all actions, service, hearing and remembrance of thy excellences and sportive manifestations. Without the practice of these, how can that one constant and deep-rooted love of thee, the goal of the Paramahamsas, sprout in the mind of man? Mere study of philosophy, works or concentration cannot generate the wholehearted devotion, the one means for spiritual illumination. So he's saying, Prahlada had mentioned all these 9-limbed disciplines for devotion, attaining. So he's talking about 6 here. Salutations. So what is that? Salutations means prostrations or vandanam. And praise, kirtanam, that is then dedication of all actions, seva. And service, that is, doing seva to the Lord. And hearing and remembrance, that is of thy excellences. So, and sportive manifestations, thinking about the Lord. So, without all these things, you cannot, service is dasyam, and the other one is listening to the sportive manifestations of the Lord. So without this, you cannot achieve bhakti. So this is what happens here. So he's saying, Narada said, the Lord who transcends the guna, the prakriti, whose excellences were thus extolled by the great devotee Prahlada, lying prostrate at his feet, was now assuaged of his wrath, and being highly propitiated, said to Prahlada as follows. So now the Lord was so happy with Prahlada, and he's saying, Prahlada, virtuous boy, may all that is good and auspicious befall you. O the best of asuras, I am highly pleased. Ask for whatever boons you want. I grant all that a devotee wants. I can never be seen by one who is not propitiated me. One who has attained my vision shall never afterwards any occasion to feel sorry that his wants have not been fulfilled. Therefore, all virtuous men who have insight and who aspire for the higher evolution seek to please me, who am the bestower of all that one aspires for. Though thus tempted with rare boons that can overpower anyone else in the world, however advanced that noblest one amongst the asuras did not go after any of them, as he was a person of unswerving devotion, seeking nothing but the Lord. So here, the Lord is testing him. And he's saying that you ask whatever boon you want, and I will give you anything. I'll make you it's just like Nachiketas going to Yama, and the Yama telling you, I'll make you the king of all the three worlds. And I will give you so many things. You can have immense wealth, and you can live for thousands of years. But what did Nachiketas say? No, I don't want any of this. And similarly, Prahlada says, that boy who knew that all these boons were obstacles in the practice of pure devotion to the Lord said to him, smiling, Prahlada said, deign not to tempt me with all these boons. As being an asura, I am naturally prone to sense enjoyments. It is due to fear of getting involved in the pursuit of desires that I have abandoned them, because an aspirant for release and come to take refuge in thee. O Lord, thou must have offered to me these temptations of desirable enjoyments which form the seed of samsara and the knot of the heart, in order to show to the world the characteristic of a real devotee. O teacher of the worlds, otherwise this attempt to tempt thy devotee away from the right path is not compatible with thy nature as the most merciful Lord. One who seeks favors and boons from thee is not a true servant. A true devotee is only a trader masquerading as a devotee. So he's saying, O Lord, why are you tempting me with all these desires? I'm already an asura. As we saw, the meaning of asura is one who is filled with all negative tendencies. So he's saying that I'm already a person of negative tendencies. And so if you give me, if you're prompting me, and if you're kind of tempting me with all these negative, with all the desires, how will I cross this world and come to thee? The desires are the seed of samsara. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna says the same thing. He says, Dhyayado Vishayan Pumsaha Sangat Teshu Pajayade Sangat Sanchayade Kamaha Kamat Krodho Bhijayade. And Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smridhi Vibhrama Smridhi Branshat Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashyati. That is, he said, while contemplating on the objects of the senses, one develops attachment to them. And attachment leads to desire, and from desire arises anger. Anger leads to clouding of judgment, which results in the bewilderment of memory. And when memory is lost, the intellect gets destroyed. And when the intellect is destroyed, one is ruined. So he's saying that this is what happens according to Lord Krishna. And he is saying, Prahlada is saying the same thing. That if you tempt me with these desires, how am I going to cross this ocean of samsara? And he says, look, I didn't come to ask you for anything. I don't want anything from you. Why? Because if I come here and to ask for you some boons, then I'm not a true devotee. What will you be then? You'll be only a trader. You'll be just a businessman asking for some things which you want. So you're coming in the guise of a businessman, but not a devotee. So he's saying the devotee does not want anything. And one who serves another with the idea of getting favors for himself is not a true servant. So also he who bestows some favors on a servant with the idea of getting some service out of him is not a true master. I am a devotee of thine without any ulterior motive, and thou art a master requiring the service of none to secure any objective. We both have no interdependent purpose to gain by coming together, unlike in the case of a king and his servants. O Lord, O the great of boon givers, if thou art very particular about giving a boon, fulfilling any desire of mine, deign to grant that boon, that no desire for any boon shall rise in my mind. So he's saying, there is a master and a servant relationship, which, the servant does service to the master, thinking that he will get something. And a true master does not want anything from the servant, but if it's not a true master, the master is asking something from the servant. So here he's saying, I am not a servant, you are not you're not a master also. You don't want anything from who's doing service to you. So he's saying, if you want to give me a boon, just give me one boon. What? That there should not be any desire for any boons. I should not ask for boons at all. So what is this coming out of? Pure love. So in this, I just remember a story in Ramayana. And there is this scene where, Bharata has come to the forest to ask Rama to go back to the kingdom and rule the kingdom, because Bharata doesn't want to rule the kingdom. And he's telling Rama, please come back. Or what happens if you're not coming back, I'll light a fire and then I'll jump into it and commit suicide. And Rama says, no, I have already given my word to my parents, my father. And I cannot do that. I cannot come back. So now, all the great saints who are gathered there are in complete doubt as to who is right and who is wrong here. Because both of them are correct. Both of them have so much of love for each other. One has love for his father, one has and for his duty, and the other one has love for his brother. And who is wrong here? So at that time, King Janaka appears on the scene. And all the other sages are relieved. Why? Because they could not find an answer to the question that was put here. Who is right and who is wrong? And who should obey who? So when King Janaka comes, everybody is happy. And they say, can you please solve this problem here? So King Janaka calls Bharata and tells him, Bharata, in true love, if you have true love for your Lord or your brother here, you don't ask for anything in return. You just give. And when you give, you're just his servant or you're just in his service. And you don't require anything. And when you don't require anything, you just implicitly obey the words of your brother, of the Lord. You don't ask for anything selfish for yourself. You don't want anything for yourself. You just obey what he says. So when Bharata hears this, he just goes to Rama, prostrates on his feet, and says, tell me what to do. So that's why he's saying that, Prahlada is saying here, there is no desire for a true devotee. But again, what happens is, he's saying the same thing here, with what I said earlier. The growth of desires in the mind causes the destruction of all the nobler faculties of the man, the strength of his senses, of his mind, of his vital energy, and of his body. With the sprouting of the desires in the mind, man loses his sense of righteousness, determination, understanding, good fortune, modesty, prowess, memory, and adherence to truth. So he's saying this is the same thing as what he said. We saw that earlier, right? That is krodhat bhavati, that is when there is desire. Sangat sanjayade kamaha, kamad krodho bhavati, that is from attachment, then there is anger. From anger, there is smriti vibhramaha. So samoha, that is clouding of the judgment. And from the clouding of judgment, there is smriti vibhramaha. That is, memory is lost. So here, this is the same thing he's repeating here as in Bhagavad Gita. And so he's saying that what happens? So he's saying that when a man abandons all desires of the heart, then alone he becomes fit for liberation. So one might ask this question, when we are living in this world, now aren't we supposed to have desires? And without desires, how can we move forward, right? And without a goal, we cannot move forward. We cannot achieve anything. We cannot attain anything. So we have to have some desire and a goal, and we have to work for that, put effort for that. And if we do not have that, then it becomes meaningless. So here, that is where dharma comes. Dharma means what is right and what is wrong. And never in the scriptures it is said that you cannot have desires. You should have the rightful desires. What is right and what is wrong in your case? Suppose you have only the money to buy a Toyota, and then you see a BMW or Mercedes, and I desire that. You can have the desire that I want a BMW. But if you sell your house, you pawn everything, and then you buy a BMW and become a big pauper, is that proper? Is it dharma? So you have to think about what is in your means and how to spend things and how to spend your money or how to do things according to your position. What is in your position in your society? Similarly, even in relationships. When we see people, if you're married, of course there will be attraction for other beings. When you see others, you'll be attracted. But that doesn't mean you have to run behind all those desires. Or when you see a beautiful girl, if you're not married, of course, then you'll keep looking at that girl. But that doesn't mean that you have to run after the girl, chase the girl. Especially if she's not interested in you, there is no point in going behind her. So, or a man in this case. So you can say that we have to understand where we stand. We have to have desires according to what is correct, what is wrong in that situation. Because even according to situation, desires change, right? And our dharma changes. So according to that situation, like for example, Amma says this, you're a doctor. And your profession is a doctor. And you go to the hospital, you have to behave like a doctor. But when you come back home and you are behaving to your children like a doctor, you are trying to tear open their stomach or doing things like that, then that is not dharma. According to the different situations, your dharma changes, so you have to understand that. So according to that, you have to understand your desire also. You have to understand how much you just being a doctor, you cannot think that, I will just go and buy a plane. So that is not dharma. So we have to understand where we stand, and desires, when the desires come, have to control them. That is what Prahlada says here. How do we control them? Through satsang. Thinking about the Lord, doing seva, doing, thinking and singing bhajans, doing, reading books, being in silence, taking vows. So these are all different forms of controlling the mind, where the desires are springing up. So if we do that as Prahlada says, where will we go? We will go to a state where we do not want anything. We do not want even any boons. We require nothing. Because as Amma says, the other thing is Amma says, if there is such a person, if there is a devotee, a true devotee, the God will look after his needs. Every need will come to him, or whatever is rightful for him. It doesn't mean that you become a Swami, then you will be, having a private jet. That's not the meaning. If you have, you at least you will get a Toyota to go from A to B. So just be happy with what you get. And so we have to understand that as Amma says, when you do the Lalita Sahasranama, right? When you chant the Lalita Sahasranama daily, Devi will not forget you, or will not, your needs will be fulfilled. So understand what is your needs, the rightful needs. So that is the having the right desire. And it doesn't mean that you should not have desires. It means you have to have desires, without which you cannot move in this world. You have to have the right kind of desires and do the dharma according to those occasions. So may Amma give us the discrimination to know what is right and what is wrong desires, and to move forward to that supreme goal. Om Amriteshwariya Namah.
अमृतेश्वरि वंदनम जगदीश्वरि वंदनम पतितावनि वंदनम परमेश्वरि वंदनम
अमृतेश्वरि वंदनम जगदीश्वरि
अमृतेश्वरि वन्दनं जगदीश्वरि वन्दनं पतितावनि वन्दनं परमेश्वरि वन्दनम्
अमृतेश्वरि वन्दनं जगदीश्वरि वन्दनं पतितावनि वन्दनं परमेश्वरि वन्दनं
चतुरानननन्दिनि शरणागतपालिनि भवभीतिविभञ्जिनि मुनिमानसरञ्जिनि
चतुरानननन्दिनि शरणागतपालिनि भवभीतिविभञ्जिनि मुनिमानसरञ्जिनि
अम्मा 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 करुणारससागरे कवितामृतदायिके निगमागमवन्निदे निखिलामयपूजिते
करुणारससागरे कवितामृतदायिके निगमागमवर्णिते निखिलामयपूजिते
अम्मा 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 सकलामयहारिणी शरणागतबालिनी मृतिजन्मविमोचिनि श्रुतिमन्त्रविहारिणी
रामयहारिणी शरणागतपालिनी मृतिजन्मविमोचिनी श्रुतिमन्त्रविहारिणी
अम्मा 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 नलिनीदललोचने नयनामृतविग्रहे मृदुमोहनसुस्मिते जय देवि नमोऽस्तुते
नलिनीदललोचने नयनामृतविग्रहे मृदुमोहनसुस्मिते जय देवि नमोऽस्तुते
अम्मा 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 अमृतेश्वरि वन्दनं जगदीश्वरि वन्दनं पतितावनि वन्दनं परमेश्वरि वन्दनम्
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 अम्मा 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 कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक, कृपा हो प्रणवागा, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक, कृपा हो प्रणवागा, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक, कृपा हो प्रणवागा, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक, कृपा हो प्रणवागा, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
गिरिजानंदन तेरी पूजा पहले करे अब कोई,
गिरिजानंदन तेरी पूजा पहले करे सब कोई,
गिरिजानंदन तेरी पूजा पहले करे सब कोई,
गिरिजानंदन तेरी पूजा पहले करे सब कोई।
विघ्न विनाशन विघ्नों का तू कर ले अंत, कृपा हो कर ले अंत, कृपा हो कर ले अंत, कृपा हो।
विघ्न विनाशन विघ्नों का तू कर ले अंत, कृपा हो कर ले अंत, कृपा हो कर ले अंत, कृपा हो।
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक,
कृपा हो प्रणवागा, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
मानव दानव देव मुनीश्वर करते तेरी पूजा,
देव मुनीश्वर करते तेरी पूजा,
सब पर तू करता है जल्दी, कृपा से मंगल वर्षा, कृपा से मंगल वर्षा, कृपा से मंगल वर्षा।
सब पर तू करता है जल्दी, कृपा से मंगल वर्षा, कृपा से मंगल वर्षा, कृपा से मंगल वर्षा।
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक,
कृपा हो प्रणवागा,
कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी,
कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
विद्या बुद्धि विघ्न शांति सब तेरी करुणा फल है,
विद्या बुद्धि विघ्न शांति सब तेरी करुणा फल है।
हम पर सदा हो तेरी करुणा, कृपा से तेरी हम पर, कृपा हो तेरी हम पर, कृपा हो तेरी हम पर।
सदा हो तेरी करुणा, कृपा हो
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक, कृपा हो प्रणवाकार, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक, कृपा हो प्रणवाकार, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभु कुमार।
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक, कृपा हो प्रणवाकार, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
कृपा हो तेरी विघ्न विनाशक, कृपा हो प्रणवाकार, कृपा हो देवा गजानना तेरी, कृपा हो शंभु कुमार।
कृपा हो शंभ कुमार, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार, कृपा हो शंभ कुमार।
कृपा हो शंभु कुमार।
गोपाल कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण,
गोपाल कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण,
गोपाल कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण,
गोपाल कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण,
कृष्ण गोपाल कृष्ण,
कृष्ण गोपाल कृष्ण,
कन्हैया गोपाल कृष्ण,
कन्हैया गोपाल कृष्ण,
श्री कृष्ण श्री कृष्ण श्री कृष्ण श्री 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 कृष्ण,
कृष्ण गोपाल कृष्ण,
कृष्ण गोपाल कृष्ण,
कन्हैया गोपाल कृष्ण,
कन्हैया गोपाल कृष्ण,
शत्रुत्कुरुना सख पांडवाना,
शत्रु गुरुना सख पांडवाना,
शत्रुत्कुरुना सख पांडवाना,
शत्रु गुरुना सख पांडवाना,
Krishna Vasudeva
Krishna Vasudeva
Krishna Vasudeva
Krishna Vasudeva
Sri Krishna Sri Krishna Sri Krishna Sri Krishna
Shri Krishna Shri Krishna Shri Krishna Shri Krishna
Sri Krishna Sri Krishna Sri Krishna Sri Krishna
Shri Krishna Shri Krishna Shri Krishna Shri Krishna
He Nath Narayana Vasudeva He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari
Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari
He Nath Narayana Vasudeva He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare
Krishna Govinda Hare Murari
Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare
Krishna Govinda Hare Murari
He Nath Narayana Vasudeva He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Krishna Vasudeva Krishna Vasudeva Krishna Vasudeva Krishna Vasudeva Krishna Vasudeva He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari
He Nath Narayana Vasudeva
Nath Narayana
गोपाल कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण
गोपाल कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण
कृष्ण गोपाल कृष्ण
कृष्ण गोपाल कृष्ण
कन्हैया गोपाल कृष्ण
कन्हैया
गोपाल कृष्ण आनंद जननी आतंक शमनी आलोल नयने प्रेमार्द्र हृदये पूर्णेन्दु वदने पीयूष निलये आनंद जननी जय मां मामा जय जय 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 मनमोहनांगी मदिदानशीले मृतिजन्मरहिते मणिपूरनिलये मृदुरम्यवचने मधुवर्षनिरदे मधुवर्षनिरदे जय मामा जय 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 करुणैक निलये सुरवन्द्य चरणे कविगीत चरिते कैवल्य सदने काव्यादिरसिके कामेश दयिते मा कामेश दयिते मा जय मां जय जय मा 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 जय मा हिमशैलजादे हृदयेसि दुर्गे हेरम्बजननी मा विश्वैकवन्दे वेदान्तवेद्ये वाग्देवी वरदे मा वाग्देवी वरदे मा जय जय 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 मा जय मा जय 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 मा जय 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 मा जय जय मा जय जय मा
अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलं प्रणमदा मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलं भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलं सुकृदिना एकाश्रये मङ्गलम् अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलं प्रणमदा मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलं भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलं सुकृदिना एकाश्रये मङ्गलम् हृदयेश्वरी मङ्गलं हृदिलसत्तेजोर्मयी मङ्गलं मृदुभाषिणी मङ्गलं विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मङ्गलं विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मङ्गलं विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मङ्गलम् ॐ जय जय जगजननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मङ्गल आरती माधववाणी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमये जनमन निज सुखदायिनी माता अमृतानन्दमयी मङ्गलकारिणी वन्दे जननी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी सकलागम निगमादिषु चरिते अमृतानन्दमयी निखिलामय हर जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी माता
अमृतानन्दमये प्रेमरसामृत वर्षिणि मादा अमृतानन्दमये प्रेम भक्ति संदायिनी मयि मादा अमृतानन्दमये शमदमदायिनी मनलयकारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी सततं मम हृदि वसदा देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी पदिदोद्धार निरंतर हृदये अमृतानन्दमयी परमहंस पद निलये देवी अमृतानन्दमये मादा अमृतानन्दमये हे जननी जनि मरण निवारिणि अमृतानन्दमयी हे सृज जन परिपालिनी जयदा अमृतानन्दमये मादा अमृतानन्दमये सुरजन पूजित जय जगदम्बा अमृतानन्दमयी सहज समाधिषु धन्ये देवी अमृतानन्दमये मादा अमृतानन्दमये मादा अमृतानन्दमये मादा अमृतानन्दमये ॐ जय जय जगजननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मंगल आरती माधव भवानी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी। जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की। ओम असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।